G'day again. I think I've said before, normally I'm running classes and there are a number of people around me asking questions, talking, engaged in conversation. Not always necessarily about the demo I'm doing. It can be about anything. And I carry on, and the enthusiasm and so forth, the involvement of the conversation and the stimulation obviously encourages. So anyway, as I said, it's very strange sort of thinking and talking as though I am getting asked questions, because that's how I normally work in the classes that I run. So, okay, it is difficult, this self-isolating, but I am enjoying being able to do more or a longer video to have it to show the involvement, because normally the videos I do are within sort of 3/4 an hour and so forth. So this video, another watercolor of flowers, this picture here of soft focus, some pink roses and a few others. This painting here is by Yuko Nagayama. There are lots of videos of her on YouTube, very enthusiastic, colorful, wonderful pictures of her sitting on the floor with all the array of the paraphernalia that she uses in her video demonstrations. This one down here, I don't know who it's by. It probably came from Pinterest or Google. It's got soft images as well. So it's the same as I always say, in artists, in art and music and movies and everything, there are always little similarities. This person here has dropped a little bit more water into the flowers for the, some people call it cauliflower effect. It's a technique. But the soft focus and the marks around here, these little edges, are very similar but softly different. But that watermark there is exactly the same as that watermark there. It's the techniques or the aspect of whatever that you like, as I say. Yeah, but don't always dismiss things. You know, well, I don't like that. Look at them. So today, or this video, I am going to be using the Asian brushes, a wash brush and a lining brush, and I'm just going to very gently start off with an HB pencil. This is the Bockingford for 25 grams, 200 pounds knot surface, or commonly called cold pressed. Okay, I like the paper. It's a good workhorse, as I've said before in another video. So with the pencil held like this, I'm just going to do a sort of shape for the vase. Just, I don't want it to, even a few pencil marks outside add to it. So there, and there's a shape out here, and there's another soft flower there. The rose takes up about that space. There's another bud there. There's an opening one there. There's a small rose here, and this one, which I like, going out of the paper, and there's another shape there, and the leaves coming down, and there are a mass of these pinks in here, with one coming that way and another bit there. So I've basically done that. Now I've got the easel this time, and this is a watercolor collapsible easel, so I've got it on the flat. So, and I've just realized that I haven't put the main lights on. That makes a difference. Okay, the palette has a few other colors in it from my past demo. There's greens and so forth. So I'm going to wet the palette, the brush. Already quite nice, that green. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon yellow into that. I don't know what this green is. I've been mixing blues and greens, a little bit of turquoise down here. Look at that, different color, a little bit of cerulean blue into it. And up here, for a little bit of warmth, some burnt sienna up here, and some raw sienna mixed together, gives it a warmth to the green. Dab that in. Now I want some pinks. I've got clean water here. I'm going to alizarin crimson and a little bit of that magenta color, which I'm going to put over there. It's a little bit dirty, but once I clean it, you'll get some of the magentas. alizarin crimson, a little bit, not a clean alizarin, so I'll go back to that magenta, put that over there, just get it moist, and I'm going to put a little bit of lemon yellow to a mixture over there. Get it all going, clean the brush. So, it's always difficult when you look at a painting like this or this, where did they start? Realistically, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to start in, see, you can pick up books where watercolor says that you go from light to dark. Pardon? I mean, watercolors start with dark. As I said, there are no rules, but like some people do. So I'm going to start with quite a bit of water on the brush. So I want these pinks in here. So I'm going to dot water. Right, water. I was almost going to say, well, it is clean water. It's not dirty. So I'm dotting in there with water. Right, and out on that. Into there. And this other pink, boom there, there's a pink there. And the rose, I'm just going to go around in circles with water. Well, it's not circles, it's a sort of shape of the petals. Now, I'm going to the magenta, and I'm just going to put this into blobs in here. Blobs, right? Now, I want a tint of warmth. So I'm going to CAD orange. And I'm just going to go, I don't know whether, hopefully, you're not seeing too many glints. I'm just sort of turning this around. See, look at the brush. I'm going round and round and round. Turn it round. It'll leave little bits of white. Now, I'm going to the magenta. It's a little bit darker down here, so I'm going to put a few little dark marks into there. Now, a little bit of cerulean blue. Not too much. Just add. It's a little bit drier. See, I take the moisture out, pick up some cerulean blue, even a bit of cobalt. I'm just going to go darting into there. It's a pure blue. Little marks. Okay, just little shapes of the blue into the pink and the marks, and some up there. I hope the reflection isn't too bad, but I have to do it flat. Now I'll let that go. The rose, I'm going to start off with magenta and a little bit of cobalt blue. Okay, now I'll clean the brush, back to the magenta, to the cobalt blue. So the light side of the rose is here. So I'm going to go up, whoops, a little bit more cobalt blue. And now I'm turning it this way, look. Now I'm going to go around, shapes, and a little bit more magenta. It's in shadow here, a little bit more blue, and a little bit of granulation in there, a couple of petal shapes. Now, this other bloom here, this one is very magenta-ish. So I'm going to get some water, and that's somewhere here. So I'm just going to go around and now pick up the magenta and just go around that, leaving a few little light bits. Up here there's one, so I'm going to do that almost to the edge of the paper. A little bit stronger down the bottom. A little bit of this, little bit of dirty alizarin crimson, and into that there's a blob here. So here I'm just going to blob up for the shape, and over behind the rose there's a couple of other blobs, and I don't mind little splatters of paint going around it. Those shapes, the pink of here, go out, a little bit of orange, go out on it, and I'm going to drop, as I said, changing colours. I'm going to splatter a little bit of orange into here, just for the sake of it. I'm not doing a botanical painting. So I'll let that sort of run. Look at the edges. Now into this, I'm going to drop some water. So I take water and just drop it into it, right? Just dropping water into these shapes, and I'm dropping water into that, or I'm splattering water to break it all up and all the little splatter bits going around. So a little bit of lemon yellow. I want some soft turquoisey, greeny, lemony, whatever. There it is. There I put the turquoise and the lemon yellow. And there's a lot of things going on in there. So I'm going to take a big lot of it. That. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue. And basically, I'm just going to slap it on. Or drop it like this. See, I take that and just drop it in. I have no idea where it's going to go. And little bits. It's pure colour. There's nothing, it's going to adulterate it. Pure colour. So here there's this mushy thing. So a little bit of lemon yellow into that, and I press the brush in to the palette, and I'm going to go. Now, clean water and a bit of lemon yellow. Put the lemon yellow into it. And these greens, so I'm just going across with a bit of turquoise. Go up to the edge of this, not quite. And I want a little bit of run together. Lemon yellow, and look at us blending in. I'm going to go down for the vase. And in here, up to that, I'm going to take a little bit of it, not much. And there's a stalk, so forth. Now out here, a little bit of lemon yellow, and I'm going to touch the edge of the rose and come out and do a blob. Now a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of sap green, and a little bit of dark for the first time, bit of Prussian blue, any of these. So I'm going to go out with that and turn it round, and I'm going to drop a bit of water in the end. Just dropping water there. So here we have one of those soft yellowy ones. So I put that into there and press. Turn it round. See what I'm doing? I'm turning the brush. Not doing, I push it into there. They're rugged. So I push it and it breaks up into these shapes. I do this, turn it round. And then I take a lining brush. Little bit of sap green and a bit of Prussian blue into there, a little bit of lemon yellow, and I'll pull out a stalk into there, break that, and there's a little bit more of this light one up here, and I'll go to the edge of the rose, pull out some shapes down to this bloom. Now I'm going to put the darker ones later, so I'm going up here. There's a bud of a lily, a little bit of lemon yellow. So I take this, press and pull down, narrow. Now a little bit of blue, go back up into it for one of the veins, a little bit of lemon yellow, press it. And there's another one here, but it's got a bit of pink in it. Now into the bud there, I'm going to drop water, just dropping it, touching water. Now there are pinks, so I start pink, pull it down into that. Little bit of alizarin crimson, even to the green. It's a little bit darker there, so I go up. And I'm going to drop water into it. I don't know where it's going to go. There's another soft pink. I'm going to put a little bit of blue or violet into it. So at the top, pull it into there. And a bit of that violet into the pink. A bit of that. Now I'm just going to go back into the rose. You can see the shapes. It's in shadow, so I'm putting in another little few marks. Wet into wet, not there. This will be dark. Now I'm going to get a little bit of tissue and scrunch it up. Right, just scrunched up the tissue like this. So I'm just going to get a little bit of light out of the rose. So I touch it there, and I'm going to just scrunched up. See, look at this. I've just scrunched up the tissue, and I'm just touching it softly. Right, just softly. Left it for a while, and just touch that softly. Look at the pattern. Now I'm going to scrunch it up. See, I've scrunched it up. Pull it there and push into this. These bits are in light. Right, that's in shadow, these are in light. And these leaves, some of them in light. So I'm just pressing over it. I've left it for a while. Now watch this. I need another little bit of tissue. Then I'm going to scrunch it up like that. See, scrunched up, and press it into this lightly, and into here, and into this just lightly. Right? See the texture? Scrunch, and into the top of this one. Pull it down to the top of these buds. So I now fold it this way and just press, and pull. And on this bud, so I could fold it this way and press down here into there and into there, a mark. And that's what it is, they're mark making. So this pink is in shade, so a little bit more pink and a bit of cerulean blue, purple. So I'm just going to touch some of these little bits to let it run up into it, into the rose. This is drying of its own accord. So sap green, and a little bit of lemon yellow and cad yellow, sap green, and a little bit of cobalt blue and Prussian blue, nice solid green, lemon yellow. Okay, so I want a few darks. There's a stalk going over here, so I'm going up to the edge of these little lights there, and tap it and turn that up against the rose petal. I want a few broken edges, so I dry the brush and scumble the mark. Okay, it'll get darker later. Down here, Prussian blue. And cad yellow. Thicker paint. You see the brush clogs up, a little bit of water from there. So I'm going to press here and pull out a leaf. Press, give it a wallet, turn the brush, and a dry leaf, a mark. Now, a little bit of the cad yellow, turn the brush and pull it out. And pull another one that way. This is all blending nicely, wet into wet. And these ones up here. So the edge here, excuse me, Prussian blue and cad yellow, maybe a little bit of burnt sienna for another richer green. So this edge here of this, so I'm going to go in there, go around there, take that edge there, take the moisture out and bring down. See, I notice I just do that round there, pull it. A little bit of lemon yellow. I'm going to put a darker one up there, turn the brush and pull it down. Now, a bit of Prussian blue into that, a darker green. Under here, maybe pull a leaf out, go in there. A little bit of lemon yellow around that lovely light up to there, and now pull a mark and a shape. So I'll let that run up into this dark now. Okay, so cad yellow, lemon yellow, maybe a bit of cobalt, ultramarine. So here I touch the edge there. It's dry brush. Go around that pink, turn it that way, go into it. There's a little tickle there, it might disappear. A little bit of dark in there with a bit of light. There's a little bit of dark. I'm going to take a little bit of alizarin crimson. They're darker in here, so I come down with a brush, a little bit of blue in it, and a few tickle shapes like she's done there. It brings out, just gives it a bit of depth. A couple of marks there. Now that I've got the brush there, I'm going to put that in there to make it a little bit dirtier. Up here, there's some darks, some other shapes, boom, and a stalk there. Cad yellow, lemon yellow, a little bit of the green into the rose, into there, soft there. Now a little bit of blue, cerulean blue into that. So I'm going to pull out a stalk and another stalk through there. I'm going to splatter in there. Now the rose up here, a little bit of cerulean blue into the mauve purple. So it's in shadow. So now a little bit of crimson. Don't forget watercolor dries lighter. So I'm going to go in on the shadow side and pull some shapes and a few little wiggles in there and a little bit of a sharp point bit there and a little bit under there, a tad there, and a little bit of lemon yellow, cad yellow, a little bit of that green, a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of cerulean blue. I went the different direction. And out here, see it, just making these shapes up to the edge of the rose. A little bit of yellow in it. Go in front. Here, that stalk. This other plant here has a few dark bits hanging down, so I put blobs. Now I'm going to drop some water in it. I don't know where it's going. And these blended edges. Prussian blue, turquoise, and some darks in there around the marks. Either as soon as I put that dark, the rose comes out there, and a little bit of dark there, and in here another mark, a little bit of dark, so that gradually all these shapes come through it, blurring the edges, little light bits, little dark bits. So I take the tissue again. I don't know if both of these artists use tissue, doesn't matter, no rhyme nor reason. So I'm going to soften off that blue just by touching it. See, it gets a texture. It's not a literal interpretation. I want a bit of light in there, so I touch that with a tissue, or maybe now I scrape it with my fingernail back in there, or scrape some marks with my fingernail out around this plant. Look, wiggly squigglies. Now I touch it to soften it off. Pale. And I touch there. Or take my finger into the blue and put some marks, some shapes there. Now, the vase. I think I've done this all in one with one brush. Okay, the vase. Cerulean blue into that green. So here I like that little bit of light, so I'm going to go up to that edge, cover that over, and bring a leaf forward. So I'm going to take the brush, and as I bring it, I'm going to turn it. Some shapes. Now a little bit of cerulean blue and turquoise. A little bit of the green. So I'm going to come down into this, around the edge of the vase. A little bit of blue in there. That shape. Curl of the vase. And then at the bottom, a little bit of blue and magenta. Blue and magenta. So I'm coming down, I'm going to turn the brush and just do a shape. Now I'm going to drop water into that. A little bit of green to splatter down. Soft, it's still pure colours. So here, the edge, and out there, to make this sort of run and disappear. Now, I am going to take my large wash brush, and I'm going to go to a little bit of mauvey blue, so a little bit of cerulean blue with a bit of mauve, and I'm going to, it's a light's coming from here. I'm going to splatter into the corner, right, and a little bit more, and a little bit of the pink, and a little bit of blue and turquoise right down into the bottom. Now I'm going to splatter water to let the bits run around it, right, just to let it go in there a little bit, be a pure colour, bit of turquoise, bit of magenta, and across. Now I'm going to splatter some lemon yellow into it, right, and I'm going to go this way to see what happens with all those shapes, because of lemon yellow. So now I'm going to let that go, and you can watch it dry while I go and get some clean water. But of course, this takes a lot longer to dry, and I will have to take the video off at some stage. Okay, so now you get some of the hard edges, some of the softer edges, and this sort of merging of colour where the vase will be, but it's soft edges, right? So I'm going to coax it down out of the paper, and I'm going to take a little bit of Prussian blue, maybe a little bit of ultramarine over to here, clean the brush, and a little bit of lemon yellow into there, bit of turquoise, and the edges, I'm just going to touch a little bit more bluey colour, mark a few splatter shapes, and a little bit of lemon yellow. It's a pure colour, let it run into it, a little bit thicker, and it'll push some of the other colours away, marks, and the relationship between here and there. Now I'm going to put some dark in here, Prussian blue, bit of turquoise, bit of Prussian blue, a little bit of cad yellow, Prussian blue. So I'm going to put some dark. I want to leave that light. I'm going to put a bit of dark there, up to the edge there, a little bit of dark in there, shape there, a little lemon yellow into that against the edge of there, not too much, and a little bit of lemon yellowy green on the edge here, just around that, a couple of blobs of light. Now with my palette knife, where did I put it? There it is. I'm going to just test it. It looks a little bit too light yet, too wet. Yes, it is. So I'm going to take the tissue and soften some of it off here, right, press in there, and you get shapes, little indications of colour underneath. They go up to the edge there and suck off that colour, maybe a shape there, marks. Now what I want to do is show you to scrape out some of these lighter stalks. Anyway, so I'll put one up there with a bit of blue, and I'm going to pull that stalk through there, and I'm going to pull another blue stalk through there, and I'm going to drop water into them, and I'll put the little bulb, the bit of magenta, whatever that is, purple, a little bit of cerulean blue, a little bit of the magenta. I'm just going to put a blob there very gently, and I will put a blob there even though it's not in there. And then whilst this is going, I'm going to take the lining brush. Where did I put it? There it is. And with this blue-green, cerulean turquoise, I'm going to go around this lovely pattern of this rose, still a bit wet, and pull a stalk in there, and around this one, and I'll pull a stalk in there, and a little bit of magenta here. It's drying, so I'll put a little bit more marks on it. Second coat, same as up here. Make some marks out, let it run together. Take a little bit of yellow and turquoise and pull up a lovely stalky thing, and a little bit of there, so it blends in and makes a shape. A little bit of yellow there, and this other bulb, I'm going to put some yellow around it, shape, splatter through it. I want out there shapes. Look at that running into there. Now this pale flower, it's in shadow, so where's my brush? There it is. So now on here now, with a bit of the pink into the magenta and a little bit of cerulean blue, I'm now going to put this in shadow. Okay, So I start in there very gently. A little bit too much. I'm adding more water and a little bit more of the magenta. So here it's in shadow, so not everywhere. I'm just going round and round and under here, leaving little bits of the other color coming through. These shapes, a little bit of light there, so I stop up to there, pull some into there. I love that pink bit there, so I go around that, bring some of that green. This other yellow flower here, I'm going to go in with that and put a few shapes of yellow and little zigzag marks. Touch the brush, lift it up so it's all like that, and put these different sort of shapes in there. Go out of over the yellow, little bit of the bud going out, so I pull that. These ones up here, a little bit of the magenta into there, a little bit of dark up there, a little bit more of that on this bud, so I pull it up. The rose, a little bit more blue, and around the edge here, a little bit of turquoise out around it, around the edges, overlap it, and a little bit of lemon yellow, which I'm just going to splatter over it, over into here. The shapes, drop some more water in there. Now I'll see whether it's at the right time to scrape a bit. No, too wet there. Maybe that is. Yeah, it's not bad. So that comes from there somewhere. Take a bit of that, bit of yellow, thick paint on my finger, and put a blob and make a shape around it with my finger and a few little marks. And another scratch with a palette knife. I'm going to remove, I think she's done it there, I'm not sure. I'm going to remove the edge of a leaf there, and another shape there with a palette knife. Scrape back bits here. I'm going to go zigzag. I love watercolor mucking around with a palette knife. So out here, I'm going to give it a bit of a curl. I'm going to touch this here, soften it. Look how soft. It's been sitting there wet. Now at the top, I'm going to touch some of those and that and in there to soften it, and in there and over there. Look at this sort of blending in here now. Patience. So with a bit of magenta and a bit of cerulean blue, I'm going to put little dots of darks in amongst these edge of these roses. Maybe I join that up, put a mark there. Not too much. I'm sort of looking around. I don't want to overdo it. A little bit of yellow there, and a little bit of yellow in there around the edge of the rose. Maybe a little bit of magenta and purple up here. There's another plant blossom there, so I pull this shape, and I'm going to put some magenta against that now. So I'm just going up and down with the lining brush down into the rose and the different shapes. And there's a gentleman just walking in, and I'm videoing. Oh, sorry, see ya, mate. Yeah. And a little mark there. Shape. Look at that scrape. And a yellow stalk or two. And a stalk through there. Now I want a bit of light on the vase. So I now get the bit of tissue. Scrunch it up. This is still wet here, but I want a bit of light. So I touch this, scrunch it up, and just touch that there. Look, the light. But maybe there's a bit there, so scrunch that up. And just sort of take it out. Picture a bit of light. Maybe I want a mark there, so I touch it. See, almost like a rose stuck there. The shapes. So there's a few softening of edges. So what I'm going to do now, I made a mistake the last one of the floral, and I done something. And see what happens with all what I don't like about the videos that you buy, as I've said before. Most of them, whoever's doing the video, sort of chooses a painting and then says to the artist, can you do me half a dozen before and after pictures? And when you look at them closely, they certainly ain't the bloody pictures that's on show. It annoys me. Never mind. Right, lemon yellow. And I'm just going to drop little bits of lemon yellow in here and let it dry. And it'll have little edges, little bits in there. A little bit of pink, little dots of pink, little bits of splatter of pink. It doesn't matter. Happiness picture. So all this will be soft. I've got that going out of the picture. I've got that a little bit darker. See, watercolor, as everybody should know, dries lighter. So a little bit of Prussian blue. And the more you get of the pigment and less water, obviously, it dries darker. So I want a little, I think it's a bit too wet, but I want a little edge there of dark. It's just, in this case, blue around that little scratch mark, and make a shape, push that flower out. Look at that mark there, the blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue, Prussian blue, and just take it the other side of that blue there to make a shape. And I'm going to turn the video off because it's going to take a while to dry. Okay, and maybe an hour. Okay, so I've left it probably over an hour to dry. I like some of the marks. I like that blending where I put the light green and put the magenta, the pure color, and you get a beautiful bit of granulation. As I said, I've had people in my classes who would run a mile from that bit of cauliflower bit, horses for courses. And as I said, there are no rules. Now, I don't know whether either of these artists softened edges. Oh, I've got a wonderful old bristle brush, and I'm just going to go in and soften with clean water, right? And just soften the edges. And all I'm doing is just brushing it in, doing that, and patting it if I want to, the softness. And maybe I'm going to soften that rose a bit there. So touch it and see the distinct softness there. Maybe you want that leaf just to disappear a bit. See it, watercolor is water soluble. So I've got a soft leaf there, which I'll take that upon this bloom. So the water, and I think you can see I'm just scuffling that through, soften the edge in there, leave a bit, longer you leave it, take it out, soft. Or I want a bit, so I take this, turn it into a little bit, it's quite thick, but if I hold this here, I can work into it gently and pull out that little stalk. Touch it, wobble a bit, take it out, look. And so it matches that stalk. Now, maybe I want this little leaf to go there, and it's just sort of curling across there. So I want a soft bit here into the side there. So a little bit of that, and touch it, soft. Now, I want the rim of the vase. So it's about here. So I can hold this almost like a pencil. And I'm going to go very gently across. And I like the sort of mirror effect of that. So I'm just easing it across. And muck around there. And touch that. And I've got a rim. Now a little bit of lemon yellow. And I'm going to go up to it. Give it a bit of brightness there. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon yellow over this darker leaf with the bristle brush, just pushing it in. Just smudge it. Now I'm going to bring it down in front. So I turn it. Now I'm going to soften it by the edge. Give it a bit of a curvature. A little bit of lemon yellow. Lemon yellow is sort of lovely for warming up green. So I'm going to put lemon yellow over this and even over the edge of that leaf with a raggedy brush and turn it down in there. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit of lemon yellow there, a bit over there. And some more turquoise with a raggedy brush. turquoise. Push it. A little bit of orange. Lovely. A little bit of brighter colour. I'm going to just touch that with the edge of the brush mark. See, I push it in and it does this. And I can come down. I'd say they're all just pink flowers. They can be orange in there. And I take my wrist and do that. I feel like a little bit of orange here. And a little bit more lemon. I'm going to pull some lemon yellow through here to the edge of the sun glint. And a little bit of magenta-y turquoise. Magenta and turquoise with the raggedy brush, bristle brush. And I take the moisture out and I'm going to come in from there and turn that round and give the shape vase. Now I'm going to splatter into it and a little bit of that turquoise for maybe a stalk or two. A mark, turquoise and yellow, and hit it so it's not too prominent. Hit that to break it up. And a little bit of orange and magenta. It's a lovely colour. Look at that. And I'm just going to put a little bit of that there. The broken brush, it makes a shape. And I'm going to put a little, not too much. I like that broken edge. I'm going to take my wrist in there and a little bit of magenta and it's pure turquoise. Oh, right, it was a bit dirty. So a little bit of that. A little bit under that rose, not much. I like the softness of it. So a little bit of turquoise, leaving that little bit of white. The shape, a little bit of lemon yellow, just sort of floating in there, through there, to bring the shape of the rose. Maybe a little bit of lemon yellow and some splattering lemon yellow in there. Not much, a little bit of magenta perhaps. A couple of little magenta dots like this there, and maybe one there, on the end of there, a little bit there, a little bit of splattering, a little bit more lemon yellow, a little bit more magenta up to the edge of that, and a few bits of lemon yellow and turquoise. It's even getting a bit dirty. A mark, a blob, just to give it shapes around. Bit of Prussian blue, ultramarine blue. Just a bit of blue there on that edge. Maybe, always careful, maybe a bit of blue there. There's a bit of blue there. Oh, look at those shapes. I pat the brush for some other marks. Just pat it. Oh, it's a different mark. And I think that will do. So I'll let this dry and then mount it. I hope I don't get tempted to move it when it starts to dry. A stalk. So I just pulled it with my finger. Another shape. See, it just parts it. Another stalk in there. The more you look, the more you see, and the more you practice and practice and fail and practice again. And as I said, trouble is we are an impatient race of beings on the whole. A little bit of cerulean blue. I just want an edge, leave that white, just to roll in onto that rose. Just sort of settles it onto the top of that petal. Okay, that will do. Okay, there it is mounted on the sugar paper. Again, with this image as of the last one I did of the flowers, a good, golly, 90% of the white of the watercolor paper still showing through. The edges, where to put the yellow, the scuff marks of the brush, what I call dry brushing. And we get where I softened it with the bristle brush and then tapped it. Whereas before it was light, or pulling it down through there, putting it on, waiting, and then tapping it for the wonderful textural marks. The blending together of the other colours, the little marks when I pushed the bristle brush into the paint and dabbed it. And I don't know if you can see it from there, but the different, it's about a mark in relationship to the subject. That pulling out that line. I mean, gum arabic does it more, but you can still do it. If I'm not thumping the paper, the watercolour is sitting just on the sized surface of the paper, and the odd occasional little splatter. So I will call that one done, and it's about time I thought I wandered home. I'm lucky again. I walked through a park to my home not far away. Okay, good night, folks. Cheers.